Well, hey, everybody, welcome back. This is Eric Brown, your Beverly Hills real estate agent, bringing you the best of LA, where we share cool local businesses and organizations here in the Los Angeles area and how you can connect with them. I've got a really special treat for you today. We're with my good friend here, David Palmer, who's got his business right there in the corner, as you can see. And so I'm going to have him tell us all about what David and his charitable organization do. So, David, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's really a pleasure to be here with you today. I work for a charitable organization. It's called Speak Up for the Poor, and we work in the country of Bangladesh in Asia. It borders India, and Bangladesh is one of the poorer countries in the world, and it has a really big problem with child marriage for girls. It has one of the worst rates of child marriage in the world for girls under age 15. And that really is a function of poverty. So, what Speak Up does is we work in Bangladesh and we have a girls' education program where we provide support to impoverished girls and their families to help girls who are most vulnerable to child marriage or child trafficking or some other abuse. We help them to stay in school all the way through college graduation. And we provide tutoring and school fees and mentoring, different trainings and resources. And it really changes the direction of these girls' lives. And then not only that, as more and more girls and young women get an education through our program, that has a positive effect on their whole community. And more people see examples of girls and women staying in school that encourage them to keep their own daughters in school as well. So that's really the summary of what we do in Speak Up. It's educating girls and young women who would otherwise be vulnerable to exploitation or abuse or poverty.
Well, what a noble cause. Out of curiosity, what was the genesis of the organization? When did it start? Why did it start, etc.?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm not the founder of the organization. The founder is a man named Troy Anderson, and he grew up internationally in many different countries of the world. In his growing up years, his parents worked for a network of international schools. So he saw a lot of countries and a lot of poverty growing up. And in his adulthood, he's trained as a lawyer. And with his legal training, he wanted to do advocacy work internationally for people who experience poverty. So he founded Speak Up in 2004. So it's been almost 20 years that the organization has existed. And we've been working specifically in Bangladesh now for the past 12 years, since 2012. I've known Troy, the founder, for about 20 years. When Speak Up began, I was actually living in India, right next door to Bangladesh, working with another nonprofit. And I heard about Speak Up's work, got really excited about what they're doing with girls and women. And about 5 years ago, I transitioned over and joined the team. So that's a brief history of Speak Up.
Yeah, thanks. And you actually took my next question. So let's
Oh,
piggyback on that a little bit. So,
sure.
to go from the Los Angeles area and living in India, or vice versa, living in India and to come to Los Angeles, there's a story there. So tell us how that all fills in. Give us some of the gaps.
Yeah, a little bit of my story and how I ended up working with Speak Up, like how that
Yeah,
came
please.
about. That's what, okay.
Yeah.
Um, Great. Yeah. So part of the reason why I got into nonprofit work honestly has to do with my upbringing, my family growing up. My father, who has passed away at this time, he had very good qualities, but he was also quite a male chauvinist. Honestly, he just regarded himself superior to girls and women, and he treated girls and women poorly as a result of that. And so for me growing up and seeing my father's example, one of the things I decided in my teenage years was that I wanted a different story than my dad's. And I wanted to use whatever opportunity or power or privilege that I had to try to help raise up girls and women who experience oppression or hardship rather than contributing to that the way I felt like my dad did. So that was one of the factors that got me into nonprofit work. So I was that story about my father is how I originally got into nonprofit work, and then I was with a previous nonprofit organization living in India. And during those years, my wife became pregnant with our oldest daughter. And during the pregnancy, we didn't know if we were having a girl or a boy. We didn't find out during the pregnancy. But many of our local neighbors, they would come to us and they would congratulate us that when they knew that we had a baby on the way, which was wonderful. They celebrated the pregnancy along with us. But then many of them, after congratulating us, not all of them, but many times they would say, "Oh, and I'm praying that you will have a boy." And when they said that, I would feel sad because not that there's anything wrong with having a boy, but I know what message that sends to girls, right? That oftentimes in many cultures or parts of the world, girls can feel that they're less wanted than boys or less valuable than boys. And so part of why I love working for Speak Up is that in a context where sometimes girls get a message that they're not as valuable or not as wanted as boys, Speak Up gives them the opposite message and really communicates that they're worth investing in, they're valuable, they can use their minds to do what boys or men can use their minds to do. So that's some of those stories are, for me, motivating factors for how I got involved in this kind of work.
David, thank you so much for sharing that. It's really insightful about the mission of the organization and your personal mission as well. Is a pretty good segue into, let's talk a little bit about the goals of the organization. Maybe historically, you've talked about the mission, but some of the accomplishments and the things that you're looking to do in the subsequent year or years.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that question, Eric. So Speak Up started in Bangladesh 12 years ago. And at the time that we began, the organization was still small. We started in 3 villages with 20 girls in our program. And our goal or our hope has been to see that expand to many more villages and towns and cities in Bangladesh so that thousands of girls and young women one day who otherwise would very likely have been dropped out of school even before they finished middle school in many cases and given an early marriage. And then they're going to continue in a cycle of female poverty and female inequality. Instead of that, so that thousands and thousands of young women can get an education, become professionals. And not only does that help those young women and their families rise out of poverty, but then, as I mentioned before, it also has a positive impact on their whole communities. So after 12 years, Speak Up has grown from 20 girls initially. Now we have 1,607 girls and young women in our girls' education program in 36 different villages and urban slums in Bangladesh. So over 12 years, we've grown substantially. And in terms of our goals, we would love to expand even further within Bangladesh so that even many more thousands of girls and young women within Bangladesh have an opportunity to receive an education and have a positive impact on their own families and communities. And then within the coming years, we also have a goal of expanding our program out of Bangladesh. So India, Nepal are a couple of neighboring countries that have some similar dynamics in terms of girls and women in poverty. We would love over the coming years to be able to expand our program to other countries as well. And yeah, the goal is to be able to empower girls and young women so that they can make a very positive contribution to their families and their communities.
I love it. Thank you for sharing all that. And talk to us a little bit about, so how the connection from somewhere that may seem here in America so far away, but yet you're making an impact here through local connection and network. So talk to us a little bit about, how does someone connect or get involved, or like you and I are here in the Los Angeles area, how does this relate to Bangladesh?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we're countries are separated by borders, but I think one of the convictions that I have is that we're all one humanity. We all, we belong to one another. And so Bangladesh it's on the other side of the world, but they're lovely people, just like the people right here. And so I live here in the Los Angeles area, and part of my role working with Speak Up is to help raise funds and interface with individuals and organizations that would like to help support our work. So our website is there up on the screen, and I believe my email and phone number will also be shared. If anybody would like to be involved in our work, I'm right here in the Los Angeles area. I would love to connect with you. You could give me a call, send me a text, or send me an email, and we could be in contact. And I'd love to tell you more. I'd love to tell you personal stories. I've lived in that part of the world for 7 years. I'm very familiar with Bangladesh, and I've visited the work that Speak Up does on two separate occasions. And so I'd love to tell anybody who would like to hear more about our work there, which is part of what helps to establish a connection to Bangladesh for people who are here, to hear more stories and to just hear examples of people who are specifically involved in our work.
And if,
And then I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Yeah. And then if a person would like to get involved with our work, it really strengthens the connection because we have a sponsorship model. People could sponsor one of the girls in our program with a $40 monthly contribution, and that covers all of the costs for another girl to come off of our waiting list and join our program. And sponsors have the opportunity to both write letters and receive letters from the girl or young woman that they're sponsoring. They can send pictures and receive pictures. And so that's another way that people can build a connection to a specific individual in Bangladesh, a girl or young woman whose life is being changed through their support and through Speak Up's help.
I love that. And so here locally, if someone wants to get involved, you mentioned connecting with you. Do you do speaking engagements, Zooms? Are there networking events or a place that people can go and connect or learn more beyond the website?
Yeah, every year we will have at least a couple of virtual gatherings where people can come together over Zoom, and talk with our founder, meet some of the girls and young women over Zoom in Bangladesh. So that's nice to have the ability to do that through technology. We sometimes have in-person gatherings as well, here in the Los Angeles area and also in other parts of the United States where we have donors who host events for us. So if anybody would like to be in touch and be aware of those kinds of events, you're welcome to contact me by email or phone, or also visit our website, speakupforthepoor.org. And there's an events tab there on our website that has information about upcoming events as well.
That's great. Thank you. In my last question, any parting words for people that are watching this video, have some interest, have questions? You had mentioned all the ways that they connect, but any last thing that you think that the viewer should know?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. So I think one thing that I would say in parting is I think for many people, the experience of the world is the problems in the world can feel overwhelming. You watch the news and there's just so many crises or tragedies or, wars. There's so many problems in the world. It can feel overwhelming. But one thing that I say to people is we can make a difference though in somebody's life, like an individual person who experiences hardship or who experiences poverty. We can make a difference for them. And if each person makes a difference for at least one other person, that can add up and be a tremendous difference in the world over time. So many of our donors and many of our sponsors have said to me that one of the reasons why they sponsor a girl's education through Speak Up is they feel like this is my opportunity to contribute to being the solution for at least one person in this world who experiences poverty or exploitation or hardship otherwise. And so I think as a parting word, that's what I would say is not to be overwhelmed by all the problems of the world, but to recognize any one of us can make a difference for at least one person.
David, thank you so much for sharing today. This was not only did I get an education, but hopefully for everyone that is watching today, you were able to learn a little bit more about Stand Up for the Poor, David's organization, and all of the things that are possible in the world of them being able to help young girls and women. As mentioned, David said before, we're going to pop up again their website on screen here, so you can connect at any point if you have questions. David, thanks again. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's really been a privilege to be here, and I'm grateful for all that you do.
Pleasure is mine. So for both David and myself, this is Eric Brown again, your Beverly Hills real estate agent, bringing you the best of LA, sharing cool organizations like David's and many others. Tune in for the next time where we can share another local business and organization for you. Until then, this is David Palmer and Eric Brown signing off.